Hey, howdy, y'all. Farmer Joe's back here, welcoming you to another Philosoraptors podcast. Things got a little crazy this time, They asked me to introduce it, and I said to myself, well, hey, I really enjoyed the last one. Why not? Let's give it a go. And I listened to it, and I said to myself, well, okay. I'm not so sure how to introduce this. So, I went and brought in a friend. Her name is Jewel.
You tell them I ain't doing a fucking thing till they give
Hey,
me
Jewel,
some
what do you think about that? I think I found myself get a little lost, but what did you think about that?
Lost? You're telling me? Jesus fucking Christ, you got lost? Those Neanderthals couldn't even see outside their own anus. Even if someone got in there, gave them a ladder for their fucking head to climb back out. Okay? These degenerates and the dirty mouths. Oh, they're so fucking entertaining. Look at me, I'm in school. Ugh, I'd rather listen to Lil Wayne. I fucking hate Lil Wayne.
Whoa, wow, Jewel, all right. Well, thank you, thank you. Now, why don't we check in on our Philosoraptors, see what they have to say?
Yeah.
They have dubbed this more of a secret podcast in light of some of the secret material that they handle. Now, let's chime on in here and see what they had to say. And a quick reminder, this is intended to be philosophically ill humor at its finest. Okay. Jewel, you don't hear me giving you much shit when y'all get you talk, alright?
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're the one who talked me into this bullshit.
You know what? Fine. Let's just get on with the podcast, alright? God. Okay. Welcome to the Philosoraptors' second podcast. In light of everything that's going on, which you could probably say at any point in time, because there's always crazy things happening. But our topic is end of times. Is it coming? Bath salt zombies, bunch of crazy stuff in the Middle East. Still.
Life as usual.
Right? I don't know, before Mike and I go brr, 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 brr. I'm Andy Bowen, the president.
I'm Mike Towers, I am the treasurer.
I am Ashley Bingham, I'm the secretary.
I'm Remy Courier, I'm the cab rep.
I'm Brett Barafio, I'm the vice president.
And we have some other people in the living room too.
We're joined by our
Special
friends.
guests.
Sergio. Yeah. and Lauren.
Hey.
Fire. Okay, so I guess Remy, what do you think? I haven't actually asked you hardly at all what you think about all the crazy shit going on.
I guess I kind of tend to I'm always skeptical, so I kind of tend to think, as usual, things are just going to go on as usual.
As usual? You think it's all going to continue on as usual?
Well, but at some point, life as usual becomes hard to, it doesn't hold itself up very well and eventually becomes unsustainable. So, every system collapses eventually.
You sound like the new Muse song.
Yeah.
That's good. But, I think it's coming, but I don't know.
So,
it's
more like what Mike said, then maybe we'll say it like that. Do you think that it's possible, like the whole shift of a powerful civilization is kind of here? Like we're right at that.
I think so. I think we're kind of at, one of those bubble bursting points, I guess, where some shift has to happen. But I don't know about the collapse of Western civilization. I think things kind of, as a general rule, tend to get sucked back into the system such that while, over a long period of time you could say that there was a radical change, you can't really trace it to any single historical event that you could say, was the end of the civilization. I mean, the fall of Rome, you can't really say there was a fall of Rome. I mean, the Visigoths sacked it, however many times.
So you think it more like will dissolve, hardly even notice?
Yeah.
Generation after generation will be like, yeah, I heard it used to be like this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we fall into another dark age. global nuclear war and, something
Like, so what do you think about
Ferris
all the,
Bueller, Bruce Willis movie?
What do you think about all the
Rainbow
military power
Apocalypse, or-
outside of the Middle East right now? Like what do you think about all that? You think there's going to be another little war or a big war? Because there's going to be a war,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like,
There's
it's
always
going to
a war.
fucking happen.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, with a little more coverage, a little more.
Like half the continent has to be covered in dead people before it counts.
How many people?
Not like global coverage, like media coverage. Just like I think it's gonna, Why else? I mean, why else bring all that power down there? I mean,
Well, I don't think World War III necessarily equates to the apocalypse. Although I wouldn't be surprised.
oh
if-
no, I'm not saying.
Wouldn't be
it's
surprised if
necessarily
both.
apocalypse.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised either way, though. In the threat of global nuclear war, especially when you've got places like Pakistan with nuclear warheads, it gets a little scary. So,
Yeah, they're nothing.
yeah.
Wipe them off the face of the earth.
Yeah, but they might get one off to Israel before they
I
do.
was gonna say that kind of turns into a zero sum game.
Yeah.
Really.
They fire one at Israel fires them at Iran, Saudi Arabia, whoever else they want. China, zero sum game, mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say though the first person to push the button would be like they'd have a pretty serious emotional conflict going on with
Yeah.
themselves because they would know that that's the case.
Mm-hmm. But you push
Yeah.
it,
Well,
and
depends
that's
on who's pushing it.
Absolutely.
I imagine George Bush sitting at it like, this sounds funny.
Third.
Should I do it?
or just like make me your servant, Lord.
I'm taking everyone to heaven with me.
Okay, but for reals though, I mean, people really think like, oh, it's not going to happen, and I'm not trying to say it is going to happen, 'cause one way or another, it's really hard to say. But there is a very small percentage of the population, the global population, that really understands and knows what they're doing to us. They already do. They know that they're taking all of it for themselves and leaving us just enough to fucking think that voting counts over, and it's like it's so unfair already. Like they really honestly, I don't think give a shit. I mean that elite, that class that's up at the very top, I don't think really gives one way or another. Whether we're happy about it or not. And if it did come down to like a civil war in the United States, I do think something like Jericho, like I don't know if anyone's seen that series, but I do think something like that could happen where some unknown source goes, you know what, let's have a little economic collapse real quick and reboot this whole system. It's gotta happen, so why not just make it happen?
But that kind of an apocalypse, I'd kind of support actually. I mean, that was my whole thing about Occupy Wall Street. Honestly, is it's not enough. If you're really gonna occupy Wall Street, occupy Wall Street. You march in there, shut the global financial system down for a day, and see what happens.
Right.
Don't set up tents.
They were just waiting for the new iPhone.
Yeah. But, I mean, if that's what the problem is and you really want their attention, get their fucking attention.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really think that there's any real way to, like, change. Okay, so say that there was, like, this sudden awareness amongst the masses. Like, we are getting fucked. This is crazy, because it's only going to, I don't think the divide's going to come back. I mean, it's just going to widen more and more. They can't sustain itself any other way until it just poof and dies. But even when that happens, like what then? Like when the system does collapse on itself in America, who's like the global power then? Does the one world economy just kind of take over? It can't just not. I mean, when that happens, something else has to happen.
Well, I think in a lot of ways, like the global capitalist system kind of. I mean, it controls as much as or more than governments control anyway. And I could, it'd be pretty easy to envision us slipping into the kind of system where almost sort of a neo-feudalism that I think we've already slid pretty far into.
Yeah.
Where really governments are kind of impotent, and it's that ownership class that kind of runs everything. Debt, slavery is rampant, and the rest of us are just kind of screwed. And it'd be pretty easy to slide into that situation. We're almost there.
Me and Brett were talking about yesterday making a movie about if we did rebel as a people and march toward the government and be like, we're coming for you. We're like, I wonder if the corporations would sponsor that. The revolution is sponsored. Dudes running around with like Pepsi machine guns and shit.
Like that old song, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised."
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Because you'd think they would kind of get behind, like, oh, well, that's kind of the people buying my shit. I could care less about that government thing over there.
Right.
So
the last time you guys bailed us out, we still ended up selling ourselves to China.
Yeah.
Well, that was that's what I think the Tea Party was anyway.
Right. Some RPGs, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's really what the Tea Party is. It's the revolution brought to you by GE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The revolution is sponsored.
Yeah. The revolution will be televised on Fox News.
Like they'll probably have, God, I don't know what douchebag would hold the microphone, be the front man, like TiVo or something.
Right? Yeah, it probably would be.
Awful.
He'd be too busy waiting for Jesus
Yeah.
to care about what's going on.
I heard my clothes just fall down in a neat pile, and that's that.
That's another big risk, though. You've got this real rise in crazy fundamentalist Christianity. At the same time, you've got this rise in fundamentalist Islam. That's it's not, and neither one of them is old fundamentalism. It's this new, it's part of the global capitalist system that we were talking about, and it's even as a reaction against it, it's playing into the system.
Right.
Well, it kind of makes me feel like the end of times, whatever it may be, is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if so many people, let's just take our country for example, the percentage of people who truly believe in the rapture and truly think Jesus is going to come and save them, and think of all those people who are in government that think that. What's their fucking motivation to do anything to help the future if they think they're about to go to heaven?
Well, and
why would they care?
Especially when you've got...
Yeah, wow, I've never really actually thought about that. That's terrifying.
We are all frightened.
You've got this situation where you might have Israel and Iran going to war together. Well, guess what biblical prophecy that fulfills?
Exactly.
And when you've got somebody... Thank God Mitt Romney's a Mormon, because if he gets... it's so much better that, if we had Bush in office and this was going on, he really would be sitting there with his finger on the button.
The rapture closer.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to stop God.
Yeah.
Time to nuke Iran so that Jesus can come back.
Fuck it, I'll nuke Jesus.
Well, but there is that whole thing, I don't think there's really any more religious people left in the United States. They'll talk the talk, but if you go down to even the Bible Belt and what was her name, Casey Anthony?
Yeah.
Everyone in that room was deeply religious, and yet everyone went, that bitch is crazy. She needs to go to jail for a long, long time. Not one of them even considered the fact, what if she is talking to God,
Uh-huh.
They all just automatically thought, oh, batshit crazy, throw her away, Whereas...
Yeah, that's kind of true. A real religious person would say, well, and it's kind of a Kierkegaardian idea there, but
Yeah.
a real religious person would say, well, so what if it's immoral? If God told her to do it?
Exactly. If you believe that deeply in God, and you believe that, He talked to people way back in the day, super directly, what's to stop you from believing God came down to her and said, "Kill your children," just like
wrap them and shoot them in the head.
Exactly.
So we should just be glad that George Bush can't really hear the word of God.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
You're a hater. You don't like that movie. Red State's awesome. Kevin Smith, you're fucking awesome.
I shouldn't give spoilers away. But the ending is awesome.
Oh yeah. Except for this guy, he thought it was lame.
I don't think it was lame. I just wasn't really the movie I was expecting. It was good, and then I think it went downhill after a certain point.
That's
Early
true.
on.
It really wasn't quite what I expected, but it was so awesome. So awesome.
Yeah, I was excited the whole time to the very end. And then at the end, I was like, "Holy shit!" Last time I watched Jay and Silent Bob, I did not see this coming. Like,
Did they have sex or something?
no, the guy who made it is the same guy.
Yeah, no.
I make jokes about
Kevin.
the trumpet blasts all the time. Like every time there's a loud vibrating noise, I'm just like, oh shit,
It's finally here.
we're done.
Yeah, I do too. I guess now that I think about it, yeah.
I kind of can't wait though, because then all the assholes leave.
Yeah. Well, right? I mean, would it just... It'd be funny if it was some, like, reverse psychology, that God was just playing a trick on all those suckers.
I have told Jordan that before. That the best thing ever would be if, like, there really was a God and Jesus really existed and, he comes floating down and everyone's like, oh yeah, I knew it. And they're like, no, we were just seeing who was fucking stupid enough to believe all that shit.
Well, that was.
We're gonna take the smart people up, and you can sit down.
That's actually Peter Rollins. He's a theologian. Has this little parable that he tells that kind of makes the same point. It's like this idea that if God, how does it work? So the rapture happens, right? And all the Christians go up to, all these good people that just wanted to get off the earth and go up to heaven. Well, they get their wish and they go up to heaven. And then God says, well, now I'm going to go down to the earth where all the people that, actually give a shit are. And leaves all his, pious people to go be pious and comes down here to spend eternity with, the cool people.
That would be so crazy, I mean, he would have to expect so many questions. Like, if God showed up all of a sudden, or Jesus showed up all of a sudden, I'd be like, bro, you are twisted. You are twisted, man. Like, what have you been doing, Like, well, I don't exist in space and time. I've smoked one joint since the beginning of your Western civilization.
That's what happened.
Sorry. It may have seemed like I took a while, but...
That's the thing that Bill Hicks talks about. Like, I'm a trickster god. I'm gonna put all the fossils in the earth so it looks like it's old, but it's only 5,000 years old.
Should never have smoked that joint on the third day. Now I have to create Republicans. Oh my God, I left pot everywhere. Oh my me.
Oh my
Oh my.
What do you think, Sergio? You think shit's hitting the fan?
I absolutely think that shit is hitting the fan.
Lots of good.
I mean, just
Our
like the state
modern
of things, even on a local level, even on an interpersonal level, the way people feel about each other from day to day, moment to moment, it's so unstable. I mean, you could be having a perfectly good day, let's say with Lauren, and you do one thing, and it ruins the entire day, potentially the next month, depending on what you do. And that's on someone who you care about closely. Imagine on a global scale that people really don't give a shit about each other.
Yeah.
I'm super depressed about everything.
But at the same time, I think
Which brings us to suicide.
I think people always want to live, so even on, like, sure, if shit popped off, like, it would be crazy, I really think that first, I hope everyone just got done eating, like, a big dinner or something, like, when someone shoots someone in the middle of the street, you know, like that way they have a bunch of energy because that first 24 hours is going to be fucking crazy. But after that, I mean, realistically, I think people would like try to band together. Like that's just how we work. I think, you know. I don't know if I would, honestly.
Then how could you say that other people would? It's hard to say that in that moment.
Well, I don't know. If I see
Because
a lot of
people do like to do that, you know. There will always be the outliers, but
Small groups too, though. It's like, you know, we really kind of prefer groups of less than like 20, 30 people.
Yeah.
Well, and in that event that something falls apart, let's say the lights went out, you know, right now, then we would become more tribal, like we would become various tribal communities, because as far as trust goes, that level of uncertainty with, you know, the overarching power being gone.
There wouldn't be any reason to even think about the government, really.
There wouldn't be any reason to follow the previously established rules.
Right.
So you couldn't trust people.
That's kind of weird, though. Like, I mean, if the TV's turned off and the radio didn't come through and tell you, you know.
Look how much we act like the animals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's really kind of how we create that shared culture thing anyways, you know, at this point, because it's such a huge culture. It's TV and radio. Without that, mass culture breaks down.
Right, and if you look at, like, Facebook just hit 1 billion users or whatever the case may be.
Whoa.
We're communicating on a massive scale compared to any time in history that ever existed.
Right.
You know, and so much so that we've broken demographic. We can't even be classified. We're almost losing the ability to classify or like stereotype gender, because the pre-constructed stereotypes or scripts, life scripts that we all fell into are melting away, because we can so easily connect with people with very, very specific similarities to us, you know, rather than in a time where you didn't have this kind of connectivity. We would all have met at college, but only because we met at college. Like, now you can meet people and form this same kind of group and get together and talk, but it'd be about people
Through like a chat room or something.
I guess my point would be that we could all be anywhere in the world and still have this conversation. It's just changing the way that we communicate. It's crazy. But and if that goes away, you have to have definite communication to be able to have any kind of certainty, to develop any kind of trust, to actually band together.
But wouldn't you think that almost the opposite thing would happen? That because, you know, we came from a tribal background, but because we became so used to thinking about our relationships in that way, like I can meet someone in New Jersey and we become best friends and never meet each other, like that, you know, that ability to communicate, to see that people way far away from you are good people, it almost make you want to coagulate and you want to be a mass.
But that's also what makes things like Facebook and Skype and whatever the case may be so popular, is that on a local level, the likelihood of you having those kinds of similarities or compatibility with someone are much lower.
I see what you're getting at.
You know what I mean? Like, and now government is gone, so there's no reason to follow any rules. You have a really, really serious desire to eat and to protect the people you love. You're not going to let anybody in there. If you do, it's going to be people that you already knew, and even that, at any point, could go wrong. Look at criminals who have partners who they've known for a long time, and they just kill them for the resource that they're after. It's the same thing with less rules, less consequence.
Love that show. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what would happen though. Like, I mean, realistically, if shit hit the fan, like the military. Does the military just go?
Now what do we do?
That'd be super civil war, because there'd be half the people like, I'm patriotic, I'm here to protect my country, and half the people like, this is my fucking family over there. I'm not gonna drive my tank on them.
Right?
Yeah, I think there'd be plenty of that, at least for a while, you know, because there's all those old systems have to, you know, it takes some time for those to break down. It takes a lot of violence for those to break down.
Yeah. What do you think, Brett?
I have a for something else. I just think it's interesting. Most people that believe in the end of the world don't expect to actually die in it. Like if you think about it, like all the Christians are like, oh, if there's a rapture at the end of the world, I'll be raptured off to heaven. I'm alive. But people who actually believe there's going to be a nuclear holocaust, they have their shelter ready. You know what I mean? Nobody really expects to die.
God
even though it's the end of the world.
God is
That's
my
my favorite thing
radioactive
about
shelter.
Christians. Like
I've never
they
thought
all
of
assume
that.
they're going to heaven.
Yeah.
Like they all assume that they're going to heaven.
Yeah.
Like devout.
Well, like we kind of do the same thing. Like I know Andy's a gun collector like me,
Yeah.
and you kind of think that you're like, I'm the
I
one
just
that's
assume
gonna live
I'll
'cause I
load
have
my
6
fucking
guns.
gun and be
You know?
like, I'll shoot the bomb.
Yeah.
Fuck you, particles.
Yeah, you cannot split. I have an AK-47. You scare the particles into not
Well,
creating energy.
yeah. I will scare them so much. It just creates this
Oh.
force field of awesomeness around me.
Your dog's balls are hilarious.
He is touching your leg with it.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't get. No, they're not touching me. I just looked at him like, oh my god, his testicles are enormous.
Yeah, they're pretty human-like.
Yeah,
Giant
well,
furry
Apollo
ones.
is probably the most strangely shaped dog I've ever seen. But he's adorable. And, I mean, since when was it bad to be 1/3 cock and balls, you know?
Valid point there.
I was gonna say, ask Remy.
Well,
Well,
quite magical actually.
there's a little difference between the butt and the uterus. Let's be real here. Well, dang, Brett, you threw just a reality check right in the middle of that, huh?
Boom.
Brett's
It's
the
like-
one that keeps on track. We like wander off in these strange directions into like snowy fields where we're gonna die of hypothermia, and Brett's like, "Hey, come back to the path, dumbass."
Yeah, realistically, I mean, there would just be like probably some like Inuits or some weird Eskimo somewhere that would like be like, dang, everybody's gone, you know, like all of us prepared folk would be like burned next to our thousands of rounds of ammunition, and then there would just be like
At least
like
there'd
The
be
Road.
fireworks
Has anyone
after
seen
you
the
die.
movie The Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it made me feel just now. The way that movie made me feel just like, wow, fuck. You're just gonna walk and walk and walk on accident. You survived on accident. Then you're just gonna fucking walk. And then eventually die.
It's funny.
And tell your kid, you know, something miserably depressing right before you die.
Me and Brett shouldn't have talked last night because it seems like we're hitting on the same points almost in the same order as we talked about this last night. And we talked about The Road, and it was funny because like I got that same thing that like the saddest part of the whole movie is that the premise is, you know, we lived and we're gonna find the sea, we're gonna find the ocean,
Yeah.
and they get there and not just them but everyone in the audience realizes that that quest was ultimately useless.
Right.
Like there's no point to it, and you watched a 2-hour movie with no point.
Yep.
You know, or 2.5. I think that was a long one.
Yep. And if you're by yourself, you probably cried a little bit. If there's anyone else in the room, you're like, think about like fat chicks or something.
The ocean.
Yeah. No, don't think about the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the ocean.
I saw The Road.
Yeah.
The ocean depresses me now.
Oh, wow.
It is depressing to think about, though. I was telling you yesterday, I was trying to watch, a bunch of YouTube videos about end of times, just all different varieties. Like an hour in, I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Well, I mean, it's just, unfortunately, if you're psycho enough to think it might be kind of fun, even if you do get blown up, I think
He was pointing at Apollo.
something's gonna happen, you know, like it has to. I mean, we're fucked so far as debt goes. We're fucked so far as representation as a country, and like I don't know what it is about oil and like the refusal to just let some type of economic exchange shift from oil to something else. Like, it could totally happen. I mean, I don't think it would take as much planning as it would, for all these fucking wars, know?
Yeah, but you know how much money Shell would lose? Fuck that.
Right, no,
10
right,
wars.
totally, And I mean, I'm sure, like, it's somehow the Federal Reserve ties into all these great, decision makers, and it's just like, at what point are they gonna be like, fuck, we gotta do something, This is just gonna fall apart, or something. We gotta do something.
I think they're gonna milk it to the end. I really do. I think they're gonna milk it.
Yeah, they're functioning on a false premise already.
Yeah.
What they're doing is
They
the
know.
right thing to do.
I mean, they know perfectly well that it's an unsustainable system. They know perfectly well.
Well, and we've hit
that it's-
peak, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we hit peak discovery in the 70s.
Right.
So,
But we've used, I think, half of
Yeah.
known oil. I think is
yeah.
okay.
So, but I really think they're going to milk it to the bitter end. Even if that means, global neo-feudalism with...
But then, what do we do for, toothbrushes, tires?
most of us aren't going to have them. Or even be the very, very, very rich are going to have those things. We're going to be living in shacks.
So that's 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I think. And I think as the resources dry up, the very rich are going to hang on to them for as long as they possibly can. The rest of us are going to slowly get sidelined and pushed further and further into horrible conditions until it's all gone, and then that's it.
I have a John Elway rookie card.
Yeah, well, good luck melting it down for a toothbrush.
Don't you think that the elite have the most to lose if the system collapses, though? Why would they just allow it? And then if it were to collapse, what would be the currency that they still continue to rule the world on?
That's true.
Well, I don't. I think whatever they have until that's gone too.
Like material possession.
And it'll, probably slip back into some kind of agrarian, feudalist sort of thing.
But
At first, at least. And, I'm kind of, I guess, it might sound cynical and pessimistic, but
no, not at all.
the rich are gonna, the most powerful people in society will always find a way to exploit the system for their own benefit. And we can't, there's very little that we can do to stop that short of, marching in there.
I totally, I mean, I don't disagree with you on any particular point. I'm just, curious what you guys might think that the courtesy that they can, because if the system collapses, the thing that makes those people powerful is wealth and nothing more.
Right.
And if the system collapses, what was once was something wouldn't be.
I really think the military just becomes the ultimate say. They have the biggest guns.
Yeah.
The biggest threat. That's really in that case.
Yeah,
I think every
power-
military becomes the power.
Power stops having any relation to money pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And whoever has the most fucking stock, America. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Bet you got some bunkers full of ammunition. For reals, I don't think we'd ever run out of shells. We could just squeeze the trigger from now to 2050 and just...
Really? I know what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the night. Because that sounds like fun.
I don't know. How far do you guys think it goes? When it falls apart, how far do you think it falls apart? Do we all die? What happens?
It depends. Well, it depends on when if we fell apart now. If everybody that was a citizen got super pissed and figured out they could do something about it, it'd be small revolt, small fall. It's gonna depend on how far we let the government get into ultimate power, ultimate control. All the how many straws do they have to put on the camel?
Yeah.
And So, the number of the straws is how bad it will go down.
So we do it soon, and we revolt soon, and we're
Well, like
we're
right
okay,
now,
we can reform the system.
we
so
we don't even need a revolt. I mean, if as a people, we just pick somebody that wasn't Republican or Democrat, and not even even independent, just some guy that's like, I got ideas, I'm gonna try them all,
Yeah.
and put him in the presidency. That would be the revolt that would be required to at least throw the powers that be off axis.
Ron
Yeah.
Paul.
I like Ron Paul.
I
so
like
shut
Ron.
up.
No, I like
Oh,
Ron
okay.
Paul.
No,
Oh, come on now. Why do I always have to
I don't
sound
like all his
I'm an
ideas,
asshole?
but at least he was like, okay, things we have now, some of them are failing. I'm gonna try something different. Maybe the experiment will fail, but at least I'm experimenting, type of thing.
I think
Yeah, no,
that's-
he has great ideas.
I think that's like you once you get things off the axis a little bit, like it takes off in a whole new direction.
Exactly.
What do you think, though, the time frame would be if let's say that we were able to put someone else in presidency now, the perfect candidate for us. Let's say that we were able to do that. What do you think the time frame would be for them to really make a change in the state of things right now? Because they've only
Well,
got maximum 8 years to do it.
That would be, yeah. No, I see
Well,
what
they
you're
have to
getting
have the
at.
support of
Well, I think it'd
Congress
be,
and
I mean,
Senate.
yeah, and I did think of that too, but and I think what it would kind of boil down to is it would have to be someone different, and not even a perfect candidate. That candidate would be very imperfect because these are all new ideas and you don't know what's going to work. And I think it would it would be that, like, just with a veto alone. I mean, that was the big thing that pissed me off about Obama, is that that first little bit in office. He had the chance to, after he said, I'm going to eliminate unnecessary spending and all this stuff, and they're trying to push that bill through, and he folded because he wanted the bill to go through, even though it had all this shit that he's like, I'm getting rid of that. If he would have just been like, no, I'm vetoing anything that's bullshit, people would have started listening. I mean, they might have not done what he wanted, but they knew that he had some balls, or would have known.
That's kind of nice. Like, it's too bad we don't have. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's nice that we don't have the same system, but it's kind of too bad that we don't have, because the ancient Greeks had that system. In Athens, where they
like
could,
everyone was a senator.
and you could have
Yeah.
you could have a, what was it? I forget what they called him, but basically it was like a dictator could come in for a short period to institute massive reforms. To
And then
kind of
move out.
fix the system, and then they would, it was for a short period, they could get rid of him, and then, everything would go back to the way it was. And that's kind of really what we need to have happen. Is
I could see it.
somebody
I
with
mean,
some
it
radical
sounds
ideas.
awful, but if you said, okay, you get to come in and you are the word of God for a year,
Uh-huh. And then you have to leave. Or
but then
kill
you have to leave, or the army will come after you.
Yeah.
And I could see it, because even if it wasn't the exact direction you wanted to go, at least like the system in itself would be coherent,
Uh-huh.
like it would work with itself, and
Because that's kind of what you need. You just need to push the reset button.
yeah.
Just once every, 100 years or so. And,
Thomas Jefferson said 20.
well, that's probably better. But, if you could just do that, if you could just push the reset button every now and then, and, really go in and really, start fresh,
Yeah.
you can do it.
We need a new planet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
too
shit.
late for that, sir.
We're working on Mars.
Yeah.
It'll only take 10,000 years to geoform, so.
Well,
It doesn't seem fast enough.
I think we've been
Seems a long time.
like
Just
3
speed that
years
up a
now.
bit.
Well, not to sound like a tree hugger or anything, but
Babies.
I forgot.
I don't think people really consider what if the end of times is just us fucking the world enough to where it just falls apart on itself. It's not even,
Yeah, they think it's a
us
chicken
destroying each other.
Right.
It's the world saying, alright, fuck
well, like
it.
if Yellowstone went,
Yep.
that would be fucking terrible.
We're all dead in 100
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, what is it? Don't they say they think it's going to blow in like 100, 200 years or something?
Oh no, I meant 100 years after that.
Oh. I thought they were saying a bunch of people were speculating that it was going to blow in sometime in the next year.
Yeah, they keep talking about it that way, but you know, if it has like I think it's got like a 30,000 year cycle or something, nailing it within a year is impossible. It's like when we talk about 1%, we're talking about 500 years this way and 500 years that way. You know.
Right.
We're about due for a polar shift too, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I read about that too. Yeah.
So are we like off axis?
No, where the North Pole becomes the South Pole and vice versa.
Magnetically, it changes.
Yeah.
But what causes that event?
Okay, I'm gonna get this wrong because I'm not a geophysicist. Has something to do with, the Earth's core is iron, so it's ferrous, with the way that it moves, and so every 10,000 years it shifts back and forth.
Huh.
And that's not catastrophic to the planet, as some people are saying.
Well, it's happened so many times before.
Yeah,
why would
exactly.
They assume that it's catastrophic.
Well, that's like the people who are really into the 2012
No,
theory,
stop!
saying, what is it? The Earth and the Sun is going to align with the center of the universe, and then that's going to create a...
Why do
and
they
I was
know-
listening
why do
to
they
Neil
know the center of
deGrasse
the
Tyson
universe is?
talk
Right.
about that.
Yeah,
They're like, it's just
And he
south
was
of
like-
New Jersey.
He was like, yes, it is going to align. And you
And
know what?
nothing
It does
will
it
happen.
every fucking year. People
Awesome.
that's a huge problem, is people just believe anything. They do not even care to spend
Is this
even a
not
minute.
creepy, Brett? That we are hitting point after point that we discussed last night
It is very weird.
in the same order. Then we talked after we talked about what did we just talk about? Bullshit. No, before that.
Government.
I don't remember. Anyways. We talked a lot about 2012 last night too. That gets edited out because I sounded retarded.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the Mayans just kind of were like, that's good. They get it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
We're
that's
not
all.
expecting to make
Yeah.
it till then.
No, they
Yeah.
interviewed
We
some
don't care.
Mayans.
So, like probably
actual
some
Mayans.
old guy, like 81 years old, like, you know what? I have been
I'm
doing
sick of
this for
this."
like 35 years. My father's father's father did it for like 35 years. It's almost the same every fucking year.
Remember that fool died and didn't teach nobody how to craft.
Yeah, they smoke a peyote.
2012.
Or they
Fell
did it
down
on
the stairs.
purpose, just stopped.
Yeah.
This is really gonna fuck with
Yeah.
people
Like
in
the
the
date,
future.
the date that it ends
They're
on,
gonna
like, is
freak
literally
out.
the day he died.
This is
Yeah.
gonna be hilarious
It's
watching
gonna
from
be
heaven.
Like, we could trace it back.
That'd be hilarious.
I've heard people say that they understood, like, astrology better than we do.
Bullshit.
I'd have to say bullshit also, because, I mean,
We got telescopes.
I ain't saying, I mean, we're smart as
Exactly.
fuck, but we got tools and shit.
Yeah.
We don't fuck around.
Telescopes.
Yeah, recognize. I mean, they had a whole bunch of sand. They could have made it, some of it. They could
I
have
think
tried
you
at
can make
least.
telescopes
You're right.
out of sand.
Just sat on the beach and just like kept clumping up sand and like trying to like get like other prism bolts of light to go down and melt it and turn it into little sheets of glass.
They could have gave it at least a
Bully
shot.
comes along and
Maybe
stumps
they
up.
did, but I'm sure they failed because
All
that's
that
not how
gold
you
and
make
shit.
glass.
That happened to me.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Anything's possible.
I like to think they just chopped off heads, thought about stuff.
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate. Well, no heads. They're like belly stuff.
Yeah.
Knife and magic, go. But no, me and Brett were talking about it, and like in one sense, it makes sense because they chopped off heads and thought about things. But when they're thinking about things, they're thinking about a god they had created and going, studying the
Sacrifice.
universe. Yeah, studying the universe is like learning about God's soul. So I need to learn about all these stars and then make up this branch of nothingness called astrology that sucks. And and then argue about it because it's meaningless.
Awesome.
Story
And
of
we
life.
haven't really moved too far from
Yeah.
there.
Well, I am a Cancer, so that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm a Capricorn. I don't think we blend
Okay,
well.
yeah, you need to go.
I like to do
we
this.
need to sit separate. Our stars
You're all
do not align.
cancers?
Yep.
Really?
Wait.
Really?
I don't like
Yeah,
thinking
you're
about
This
crap.
room is
I would
infested
hate
with
it.
crabs.
Yeah, and now we're like, this is
You're what?
bullshit.
Are you
What's
too?
your sign? I'm
What's
actually
your
a
sign?
Gemini.
Cancer.
4
Really?
cancers in here? That's
I'm a
crazy.
Taurus.
And
Me
that's-
too.
This is important. For anyone.
Take note. There will be a pop quiz on our astrological signs.
Who's your favorite Philosoraptor? What's their sign?
Just guess
Answer
Cancer.
correctly and win a free
Oh,
bumper
do you see my rape
sticker.
whistle I got?
Oh, a rape whistle. Don't get raped.
I know, I'm not.
No,
whistle,
do
how
get raped.
can I?
Otherwise, the whistle is useless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. You can never
You wouldn't
blow
want
it
to waste
unless you're getting raped.
I know.
So, Brett, make sure you get raped next week.
That's what they say. Actually, they're like when they give it to you. Or I remember when I was in RA training, and they were like, when we give you this whistle, you have to never blow it unless you're actually in trouble. Don't blow the rape whistle.
Who was that?
So-
That shit's not funny.
It always happens. Every time. It was me.
But maybe you were in trouble because you were in a class where they gave you a rape whistle.
Yeah, this is like Officer. What is her name? I can never remember.
I didn't know
her name.
people
The one with
actually
the
had
hair.
those. I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was
know
just a
exactly
joke.
what you mean. It's,
I don't want
She's
to
like, I
murder.
kick the
I don't
shit
want
out
to
of
call her
people
what I
who try to
usually
rape
call
me.
her.
There's no such thing as rape
Why do you think I
whistles.
carry a knife in my purse, fuckers?
I call her Officer.
Right? Like, I mean, a guy comes running at you with the fucking crotch rocket, for real. You know, like, I'm gonna jump on you. Like, you're not gonna fumble around for a fucking whistle.
Yeah, you're
No.
gonna
You're
kick
gonna
him
go
in his
in
fucking
hiding.
groin.
Yeah.
I always wondered that about the blue emergency lights. You know, you're supposed to go push the button
Oh,
to call
yeah.
911, and you're like, you know, trying to shake the guy off your leg while you're.
Yeah, I like to imagine it as, like, you know, an action scene in a movie. You know, like, she, like, roundhouse kicks him in the cheek.
And then you backflip him
Slams her
and hit it
fucking-
with your toe.
Yep. She just, you know, all in one kick, realistically.
Right, he's like wearing a hockey mask and carrying a machete.
Yeah, totally. And then she picks up the phone and some other guy's like, I can see you. Cut.
The popcorn's getting burnt.
That was always funny to me that the serial killer looks so much like a serial killer. It's like, put on that outfit and go walk down the street, see if the cops don't come talk to you.
Yeah,
Right?
but I mean, it depends on, like, I can't remember the guy, but he was the guy from Silence of the Lambs.
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
No. He played the detective.
Hello.
Or not Hannibal, or not the detective. The creepy serial killer guy that's...
Oh, the
puts the
training.
lotion on
yeah,
there.
he puts the lotion on
Oh,
the skin guy.
Buffalo Bill? What's that?
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill. Yeah.
That's right.
I thought you were making
Leave
a
it to
joke
Brett.
for a second, then I was like, oh, Brett's right.
What? Creepy category? I'll take creepy for 5,000, please.
But he's the head detective on Monk.
Uh-huh.
And it took, my mom loves that show, so I'd seen like 20 episodes of it.
Oh, yeah,
And I'm
we were
like,
watching that show
holy
all the
shit,
time.
it puts lotion on its skin, motherfucker. You know? It doesn't look like a rapist in that movie. Or serial killer, or whatever the fuck we were talking about.
Sound like a frog.
End of time.
Edit that out too. Just kidding.
Whatever. What do you think, babe? You're just a good little Indian?
Yeah, I'm just listening, taking it all in.
That's cool.
We keep hopping subjects so fast, I don't really know what's coming up. Whoa!
That sounded like a frog.
Remy has allergies and eats frogs.
Literal frog in throat.
Gerbil. Oh, I see.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't think it's sexy
Like
when
the
you put it in
M&M
your mouth.
The M&M song. That's all
Well,
I think of.
Okay, not for me. Only one orifice for gerbils on this.
I'm a one orifice kind of guy.
Yeah, you got
I
like
to
3.
Okay, yeah, you're
Where's Richard Gere when you need him, you know?
Yeah, right. playing with gerbils somewhere.
In a psychiatric ward. They just come in and film like sequences of him being crazy and then use it in scary movies.
You're just funding your kids through college, Richard.
The odd romantic comedy,
He wins an Emmy like he looked genuinely retarded. I wonder what like people with dogs would do in the event of the end of the world.
Oh,
I
my
would
dog would
save
eat
my
people.
dog's life before
Yeah.
I would save a lot of people's lives.
And then I
would
get to eat
too,
all
to
their
be
food,
honest.
and he gets to eat them.
Yeah, I don't think I could like ever eat my dog or anything.
No way.
Oh, fuck.
Whatever that.
My dog, I think, would stay alive as long as I did. He would probably
Mine too.
he would probably like lay on my dead corpse actually. I'd be like, oh, last piece of bread. Yeah, I don't want to live. Here we go.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You get to kill people and steal their food, and then feed the people to them.
Because you would think people is delicious, huh, bro?
I guess if you had some like teriyaki sauce or something.
No, I wouldn't eat the people. I'd feed it to my dog. People is gross.
Yeah.
You don't know that. Or do you?
Teriyaki, son.
Maybe.
It could be the best meat you've ever had.
I read this thing on how it's
That
addictive.
sounds so bad.
Because it has all the chemicals that your brain likes already in it, so you're getting like dosed. So like people
There's
get
a-
addicted to cannibalism.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode about that.
makes you pretty sick, that doesn't it?
No idea. Zombies.
Gives you trichinosis. I don't know.
Do you ever think about, like, I'll go outside and sit in my back swing and just kind of like look around and stuff at night, 'cause it's pretty. And then I always think, what if zombies like came right now, like this very much, like right now,
I hate those
right
moments
now.
when you're alone.
What if one fucking crashed through that glass window? Do you ever think about what? Like, do you ever look around? Like,
Actually,
okay,
I do.
what-
Short answer.
I do.
Weapon.
I started
Avoid
thinking like
psycho.
that a long time ago.
I'm psycho about it. Like I have steps in every room that I would take. Seriously, like
Reconstructed
Well, what made me
brains.
think of that was I always think, like, my first thought is, where are my dogs? So that I can find some way
Yeah.
Well, and you
I
don't
don't
want
know.
your
Your
dog
dogs
to be
would
a
sense
zombie
them
trying
before
to
you
eat
do.
your
Yeah,
face.
probably.
yeah, someone, Brett, you would want to grab that snowboard.
Yeah, that would slice somebody's head off.
Yeah.
Bottles and stuff. These
I would
heavy
just pull a
objects.
break.
Yeah. What?
These heavy objects.
Like that. Like
Lamp.
that.
Like this bowl.
Lamp is
See the vase there?
Yeah, this vase.
Bam! That is a broken zombie head.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting to happen.
Even though it's aluminum painted to look like brass.